Welcome back to the Sunny Stampin' Studio. In today's video, I'm going to show you another fun technique using Stampin' Up's Aquapainter and their classic ink re-inkers. We're going to create these leaves, which are stamped and embossed on watercolor paper. So why don't we get started? First thing you're going to need is the Autumn Splendor stamp set. Now I used this leaf, and the acorns. And what you want to do is stamp them in the Encore gold metallic stamp pad onto watercolor paper. Once you've done that, you want to sprinkle on gold embossing powder and then heat emboss them until the gold powder has melted. Now this is what you're going to end up with. Next thing you're going to need is an aqua painter, and you can see I've already got water in the barrel, and all you need to do to add water in the barrel is to unscrew it here and then put it in. You're also going to need some kind of a small plastic palette and a paper towel. Now I'm using 4 re-inker colors. I've got Close to Cocoa, and I'm just going to put some of that in one well. I've got Taken with Teal, Really Rust, and More Mustard. Now the colors of my re-inkers were based on the colors of my designer paper, and I'm using the Autumn Meadows designer paper in the Holiday Mini Catalog. Now once you've done that, what you want to do is to pick up your first color. So I'm going to pick up Rust, and if you notice, if you look at my watercolor painter or my aqua painter, you'll see that there's quite a bit on there. Now I'm actually going to zoom right in to my leaf so you can see what I'm doing. See how intense the color is? This is very different than how you might normally watercolor. Normally when I'm watercoloring, I don't pick up quite so much re-inker. In this case though, I want to, because I want the final effect to be quite intense. So I'm only going to show you on one leaf today and on the acorns, because once you know how to do one leaf, you're pretty much doing all of them the same. Now notice that as I'm coloring, I am deliberately going outside of the lines. And this is really important because when you cut it out, you don't want any of the watercolor paper showing. So you don't want any white. Now, once you've done that, to clean your aqua painter, you just gently squeeze the barrel, and then you keep brushing it against your paper towel until no more color comes out. Then you can go ahead and pick up your next color. So now I'm going to pick up some of the More Mustard. And you see how much I saturated my tip. You can see again how intense that color is. So again, what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that there is no white space left around the edge of my leaves. As you can see, I'm kind of filling that in. Okay, so I'm ready now to move on to my next color. Now what I would do is, because I have several leaves, I would do all of the Really Rust sections and then all the More Mustard sections. Okay. So last color I'm going to pick up for the leaves is the Taken with Teal. Now I know normally you don't see teal in fall leaves, but it is a color that is in the Autumn Meadows designer paper, and it looks so pretty, so I thought I'd add in a little bit of that. Okay, so I'm just going to clean my re-inker. Now what you are going to notice is, you see how the tip of my aqua painter is stained? That is perfectly normal. Now the last thing you want to do is pick up a little bit of the brown and color the top of the acorns. Now what you can do is, you'll notice here I'm just kind of touching along the top of the acorn, and what you'll see is the water here is pulling the color downwards. So you can do that to have just sort of a shading of the color, or in this case, because acorns are darker, I'm just going to color them in all the way. So once you've colored all your leaves, what you want to do is set it aside to dry. Once they've dried, before you go ahead and cut them out, you want to take just a piece of paper towel and you just want to dab. And this will take off any leftover ink color that's on the gold embossing powder. Now I'm going to go ahead and zoom out so you can see how I make the rest of the card. So this is what my leaves looked like once they were all completely colored. So you're going to go ahead and cut them out, leaving a small border around them, and then this is what you're going to end up with. Now you want to start with a piece of chocolate chip cardstock And this cardstock is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And I'm just putting on some snail adhesive, and then I'm going to center and matte my Autumn Meadows DP on that. I'm then going to add some snail adhesive to a really rust card front, and then I'm going to center and matte my chocolate chip to my really rust card front. Now here I've got a 1.5 inch piece by 5 3/8 inch piece of chocolate chip cardstock. And I'm just going to set this aside, and what you want to do is take an 8 inch piece of the Dusty Durango ribbon. Now I use Dusty Durango because it matches so beautifully with the really rust. They're tone on tone colors. And I'm just going to tie this in a knot at the bottom of my cardstock. And I'm tying it in such a way that the polka dots are at the bottom, like so. Once you've done that, you can trim the ends of your ribbon with a pair of ribbon scissors, and then you want to go ahead and attach that to your card. And I'm sticking it on so that there's about 1/2 inch space of DP there. So there you go. Next thing I'm going to do is take my Stampin' Majig, and I'm going to align my imaging sheet on my card front and then stamp my greeting. Now this greeting is from a level 1 hostess set called The Best Yet, which unfortunately retired last year, but it's still one of my absolute favorite sets. Now all you have left to do is to stick on your leaves. Now I'm actually going to slide this ribbon up a little bit because I want to have one leaf stuck underneath. And to stick on my leaves, I'm just going to use snail. And I'm only putting snail in the center of the leaf because I want the sides to curl up a little bit. Now, when I stamped my leaves, I used a 90-pound watercolor paper. Now, Stampin' Up's watercolor paper is 140 pound. It's a beautiful, thick weight, but for the purposes of this card, I wanted a flimsier watercolor paper that would curl a little bit when wet, as you can see the edges of the leaves. Okay, now I'm going to stick my acorns on using a mini glue dot, and I'm just going to tuck that underneath the leaf so it just sticks out. And there you have it. Your card is done. See what a beautiful technique that is? I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I look forward to stamping with you again.